Hi fam, welcome back to another hobby episode. Classic matchup, Devin and Meg. I'm so excited to be here with you, Devin. This is always a special treat for me. I get my own one-on-one special treatment lesson with Devin, and you guys get to hang out. It's so great. Devin, what are we working on today?
We're working on tactical rocks. Basically, it's just a way to kind of introduce kind of more classic traditional type painting, very Bob Rossian kind of painting into it, rather than just kind of going from this dark color to this bright color. You know, you're throwing a lot of stuff I like to call color smuggling. So we're going to use lots of greens and ochres and purples and browns and grays and things like that. And it's going to be kind of a bit of a hot mess, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And no gloves today. We're gonna get our hands a little dirty.
I chose not to wear gloves. I was just gonna go with it.
You're brave.
Not gonna. Well, I use gloves to protect my models, not to protect me. I'm kind of like, it'll be messy.
Yeah,
so
okay. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. It's all about what types of colors you kind of want in like the shadows, in the midpoints and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you'll look at something and you'll say, oh, it looks like a tree or it looks like a rock. But it really, when you start looking into it, if you actually look at a tree outside, you'll notice that it's more gray. It's got lots of greens and purples and stuff like that.
They're not brown, right?
No, they're not brown. There's very small elements of brown, but when you pull out in the cohesive photo of it or whatever, it's brown.
Right.
But when you get real close up into it, that's kind of what we're going to kind of emulate today. And it's also a lot of fun.
Let's take a look at some of the stuff you brought today.
Yeah, so I put together a few of these bases. They're really boring to look at right now because they're all primed black. But got a couple of just basic secret weapon bases that just have some flat stonework just to kind of give you an idea of you can use it on flat. And then I also put together some random bases with some little trees, rocks, and ground and stonework and stuff like that. These are going to get a lot more interesting, I promise. But the title of all of this is all about painting tactical rocks, right? Because there's always a tactical rock everywhere. But really, it's all about like kind of natural elements on your base, whether it's the ground, whether it's a rock, whether it's tree, moss, whatever. It's just more interesting, and it's a lot more fun to just start splashing colors around. So we're going to be using lots of really, really big brushes today, and we're just going to get a little messy. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So first thing, your little drop cloth thing.
Yes.
Stick your hand in your wash palette.
Oh, we're getting wet.
Yeah, we're already getting wet. And we're just going to put a little bit of moisture on part of the cloth.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just want it kind of lightly damp.
Okay.
You don't want it saturated. That's kind of what you're wanting.
Yeah.
Mostly because that's how we're going to kind of pick up some of the color off of the brushes a little bit. I don't know if you've seen the Artist Opus way of dry brushing, but they utilize a little bit of moisture within their dry brushing. So it's a similar type of a thing. And because we're going to be using a bunch of different brushes and stuff like that, we just need to have some moisture in there.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to get maybe like a flat brush like this, or maybe more like that.
Okay, something a little less.
Just get a little bit of moisture in it. Okay. And then just kind of put some in there, maybe wipe a little bit of it off. Mm-hmm. And you should be able, when you
it feels damp.
It feels damp.
Like cool?
Exactly, yeah. It should basically, like, if you do this, and then you blow on it a little bit, you feel a little bit of coldness because it's damp.
Yeah.
Good, right? Good. All the brushes, no matter from, a size 000 all the way up to the big old fat boy here, they need a little bit of water to help push the paint out, whether you're doing dry brushing or whether you're doing glazing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They work best when they have a little bit of moisture. So that's how we're going to prep all of our brushes. So when we move on to another brush, we're just going to quickly give it a little bit of moisture, wipe a little bit of it off, maybe give it a quick little test and stuff like that. And then don't be afraid to just kind of go back and forth to having a little bit more moisture, right? Some people want it a little bit less, some people want a little bit more. This is all just about fun.
Okay.
So we're just going to pick up one of our bases.
Cool.
And grab a color that you really like. That is not brown or gray.
That is not brown or gray.
Yeah, so we've got a selection of greens and some browns and purples and yellowy ochres and stuff like that. So
yeah, you asked me what my favorite, one of my favorite colors right before the stream, and I was like green, and then you just grabbed a bunch of greens. Yeah. And you're like, well, what kind of green? And I said, I think turquoise.
Yeah. Well, there's a turquoise.
So can I go with turquoise?
Absolutely.
We're gonna start with turquoise.
So I'm gonna go with this golden olive color, right? Because it's a little bit more muted.
Yeah.
So let's see the camera. You can kind of see. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's like a dead ringer right there.
See? I like this color.
Yeah, so we're just going to throw it on some colors. So what I like to do, give it a good shake. And on our dry palette, I basically like to make like a little line.
Okay.
Now keep in mind the Monument paints.
Here, I'll keep the Lumix on you so everyone can see what you're doing.
So you can kind of see this little gross line that I got right here. Because I like to make like a little line, so that way you've got little bit on here, so you can very lightly load your brush on one end and heavily load your brush on another. Keep in mind that the Pro Acryl paints, they are a little bit more like kind of liquidy, flowy and stuff like that. So you might need to add more back and forth. Yeah. But basically what we're going to do is we're just going to load our brush up.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to just kind of go nuts with this and get a nice fat brush load worth. And we're going to do, and whatever base you're wanting to kind of start with. And let's get you your tree over there. Whatever one you're going to want to start with. And we're going to do a very technical and precise technique called stabbing and stippling.
Okay.
And we're just going to do this. All right, just get a lot of paint in there.
This is difficult.
And it's super difficult. It's very pro technique. You've got good technique there, though.
Oh, great.
Don't be afraid to leave some of the black, though. Okay. We don't want full coverage on all of this.
Okay, got it.
And look at that. We painted rocks. I'm going to do it on both of them.
On the tree one, too?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. On the natural one, be a little bit more selective as to where you're going to place this. Okay. Don't be afraid to hit that tree. So for this one, I'm going to hit it mostly along the rocks, along the base of the tree, maybe somewhere in these under portions of the tree. I'm gonna hit it some of it on the ground, and maybe a little bit on these rocks.
Got party lights.
Yeah, party.
Thank you, Soups, for your gifted membership.
Oh, Soups!
Welcome, Gris Balk. We've seen you before. Welcome back. Liberty, member for 8 months. Lab Mandrel. Devin, top 3 rock bands. Go.
Oh my god.
When you get a chance.
How do you do
anyway, that? I know.
I mean, if we're gonna go,
we were just talking about this before the stream too.
So it's funny because I didn't really grow up on a lot of classic rock and stuff like that. But for me, top 3, my top 3, in no particular order. Ooh boy. Foo Fighters.
Oh yeah, that's a good choice.
Linkin Park is probably always in my top.
Yeah.
Linkin Park's in there, and
they're special
for a little bit more.
For millennials, especially.
100%. They were. I can tell you this. They were the first band that I ever discovered on my own. I freaking love them. Rest in peace, Chester, on that one.
I know.
Oh,
Chester.
A third one. How do I do a third one? Okay, so here's a pro tip on that. So let's just show this real quick. So Meg's got a lot of color in there. It's great. Dab your brush a little bit in the water and keep it really saturated. Okay. And then we're just going to kind of smash and do tiny little circles and stuff like that, just to kind of dilute that around a little bit. Okay. But that's okay. We're going to get this color in here. You're just going to be nice and bright and effervescent, which is per the usual.
That's fine. Because I'm doing my like you mentioned my salon. My Seraphon army is going to be it's going to use this color a lot, right? I use that for in my rocks and coming through the cracks of the earth and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I'll probably use this technique with all these crazy colors,
it's
super bright.
What I like about it is that you're just I'm an actual painter now.
Look at me.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it, Mom.
Yeah. I'm a creative genius.
But this is, again, I'm going to say this ad nauseum. This is up to whatever you're wanting, whatever your flavor. If you want a lot more, it just means that, you're going to have to be a little bit more heavy on when you're starting to apply your browns, apply your grays, things like that. But that's okay, right?
Yeah.
So here we kind of got this weird, gross mess going on, and it's looking pretty cool. I left a lot of black.
You did.
And that's mostly because, spoiler alert, I know how to do this. You don't yet. So
you're that's going to be a very bright base.
But that's okay because it's going to be uniquely yours.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to give you a color. Let's darken this sucker down. Let's give you Xerius purple.
Sure. Okay.
All right. That's going to be really cool. Purple and turquoise go really, really well together. I'm going to choose this kind of blackish red because green and, red. But if you look at them, the two colors here, right? They're super, super different from each other. It's not Christmassy kind of colors.
Right. They're both like muted versions.
Exactly.
Of their
this
colors,
one is leaning into the purple too, which purple goes really, really well with green. Hence, like the Hulk, for example. Purple and green. They go really, really well
together.
Barney. Gosh, yeah, that's a menace.
Don't want to forget about that.
So, as I'm looking at this color right off of my palette, right here, it doesn't really look...
Oh, guys, he just put his fingers right in the paint.
Yeah, just, hopefully I don't put these in my mouth.
One with the paint.
I don't put it in my mouth. It doesn't really look as purple as I want it.
Should I pour a little bit out? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, pour whatever you want. You can use your brush. It's really up to you. Use your finger.
I hate Citadel pots and because pouring from them.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not really.
They're like terrible for that. So I
there's
always
a lot of
ask.
Purple. If you want any royal purple from Reaper, I got plenty on my palette now.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, so then if you're wanting to mix colors, so like your purple right there is a fantastic purple already, right?
Yeah.
But if you're wanting to mix, don't be afraid. Again, kind of wet your palette. Don't worry too much about cleaning the color. Right? Because we're doing almost like an on-palette wet blending type of a thing. So if you still have a little bit of that color in it, totally fine.
It's fine.
What I like to do, I'll pull this a little bit to the side. What I like to do is I like to load my brush up with my first color and then a little bit in. I don't know if you've ever seen loaded brush technique. You basically load the brush up and then you put another application of paint. And then now what you're going to do, again, I'm going to lightly dab that and I'm just going to smash again. And just be a little bit more selective with these ones.
Okay.
And then I'm going to, again, take a nice, relatively wet brush. And look, I'm just going to kind of slowly swirl these colors in. I'll add a little bit more of that kind of reddish brown. I'll add a little bit more water. This is a sopping wet brush. And I'm just going to continually kind of blend it in. I'll maybe add a little bit more of that purple. Wipe off some of that purple. Don't be afraid to get that everywhere. This is just making interesting colors.
Okay.
We're not going to worry about realism. We're not going to worry about, getting coverage everywhere. We're not going to worry about anything except the process. I'll go back to this green because I lost a little bit of that green because I was a little ape-fisted.
Ham-handed.
Ham-handed.
I like that term too.
Yeah. Yeah, this is all about just having a little bit of fun with it.
Okay.
Saturate your brush a little bit more. Like just dunk it in the water.
Okay.
No, dunk it. There you go.
Do it right.
Then do it right. And then take, so you dunk it.
Dunk.
And then you take it on your rag, and you're just gonna very lightly just tip tap and get most of that moisture off, but you notice it still's got a lot of moisture in it, and it's still tinted. You see how it's still got that color in it?
Yeah.
Now use that and smash that all around.
Okay.
Yep. Utilize that moisture there.
Okay. So my purple is low in value, but the blue is high in value. So it's making like this lavender.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that right? Am I doing this right?
The answer will always be yes.
I know.
And don't be afraid to go back to your previous turquoise.
Okay.
Right? I would encourage you to add.
Out. It dried up.
My gosh. I would add.
Hey, Devin.
Yeah, she just poured all of her paint everywhere.
Oh my.
As you're doing all of these steps, there's really no like step 1, step 2 in this kind of process. You can keep it all kind of harmonious. I mean, I guess step 1 would be don't spill your paint.
Yeah,
everywhere.
try not to.
That would be preferable. But yeah, we're just gonna kind of wet blend really, but it's kind of like more of like a canvas type wet blending. And I don't know what to stipple wet blending.
Blending.
I've heard it called stumping. I've heard it called a lot of different things. Yeah, because you're just kind of like stump. I don't know. I've heard it called stippling. On canvas wet blending. It's just get water, put it on, blend, right? And we're not really trying to achieve buttery smooth blends or anything like that.
You're like laying down colors to lay other colors over.
We're color smuggling. Yeah. So all of these colors.
You heard it here first.
All of these colors they're just going to kind of slowly find their way into our main kind of mix, as we start putting in our our ochres and then our browns and then even grays and things like that. And it's just gonna make it more interesting. This isn't certainly a technique for everyone. Some people want it crisp and clean, and that's perfectly fine.
Techniques like this honestly help me enjoy.
It's a break, right?
Terrain, base.
Yeah,
base stuff.
Right, because you focus so much on getting something like clean or sharp or I got to get this blend right because this is the face of the model, right? And that's fine. But what I find super fun is I don't got to be clean on a lot of this stuff, and you can clean all of this up once we've kind of got it dried and stuff. You can clean it all up and sharpen it up and stuff like that, but it's just a little bit more interesting,
Yeah.
All right. Also, don't forget the flat base. This is part of the reason why this is also really fun to work on for army bases and stuff. Is you can kind of have them all in a row. And all right, this one's a little wet. I'm happy with this. Move on to the next one. Here, I want to give you a little bit of that.
Okay.
Throw that in there. See how you like it.
Okay.
But do that one because you're going real nice and bright, which is awesome. Throw this darker color, right? This kind of really rich wine color. Throw that more into the shadow areas.
Okay.
So throw it nice and thick, kind of like this. We'll throw it into these shadowed areas nice and thick. And then, again, we'll rinse off our brush, take a little bit of that moisture off, and just lightly kind of stipple blend it out. And if you notice that it's a little too heavy in certain areas, just go back into this green. Straight to the green. Don't bother wiping off or rinsing off or anything like that.
Okay.
And then we're going to do this
put it back.
Same kind of a thing and put it back. But it's just going to give an interesting flavor to it. I mean, I wouldn't lick it, but
I might.
Yeah, depends on how brave you're feeling. But yeah, that's really this is all what the technique is.
Just taking paint and shoving it into corners.
Yeah, and the bigger the base, the more fun you can have. I was trying to actually print out a couple of different bases, and I was actually going to make something real big, like 120 millimeter kind of big base, because when you get onto those types of bases, you just take the paint and you just pour directly onto the model.
Maniac.
Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun because then you get this heckin' chonker right here, this big giant brush, and now you're sitting there and you're just kind of slowly mixing it around, very much like oil painting and stuff.
Yeah.
You're just relying on the fact that everything is super thick. You're relying on the fact that everything is still wet and valid for you to use and stuff, and just have a freaking blast. So, Meg, you have some fun tactical rocks on there that have a lot of little mossy elements and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was noticing that. There's plants and stuff that I need to go back and pick out.
Well, I would recommend starting to incorporate maybe a little bit of this olive green. And you know what? For the hell of it, I'm going to throw in a little bit of this turquoise too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to do a little bit less.
What was this red? Oh, yeah. I'm going to borrow this.
Yeah, that black red.
Color again.
If you ever notice that you're grabbing too much paint on your palette.
Am I grabbing too much paint?
No, because I notice you're being very conservative with how much you're putting on there.
Okay.
One of the things,
I'm going the opposite way.
Yeah. You're being a little bit too conservative on a dry palette, at least. You're thinking of it as a wet palette, right? Because a wet palette's going to keep it
You're
active, right? So what I like to do is I actually like to just kind of tease on in like this, right? And I'm just I'm literally scooting the paint into it. I'm not scooping.
It kind of protects the pile.
Yeah. And you're just grabbing little bits here and there. And if you start to notice that it starts to develop a little bit of a film on the top, right? Just add a little bit more moisture into your brush and put it on in.
Okay.
So I'm going to take a little bit of that kind of wine-ish, what do they call it again? Black red?
Yeah.
And a little bit of that turquoise. And I'm actually going to kind of mix out a nice little purple. Kind of see. And I'm just going to slowly put that into weird random places. I should hold the model. Take that, and a little bit of that purple. Get little bits of this extra little bit of color in there. So take a little bit more water.
More water?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wipe off a little bit of that. Yep. Okay. And then circles. Do like little circles to just kind of.
Okay, like a smoother blend.
Yeah, it just integrates the colors just a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, I was keeping it kind of messy, but this is much better.
Yeah, because what you'll notice is that, like, when you start adding extra colors, like, because we're going to do a lot of dry brushing and stuff, you're going to notice that you're going to see some of those blends, and you're going to see some of the, well, maybe lack of blends, and it's just going to take a little bit more work on that end to just slowly, I don't want to say cover up, but just make it look like, hey, I did this on purpose, and not like it was just, you know...
Me figuring it out.
Me figuring it out, or, you know, like a happy accident or whatever. Although, those are acceptable, too.
Okay, no, this is better. Now I get it.
Brilliant! Remember those Guinness commercials?
Oh, that's right. Brilliant. I forgot about those.
And if you have too much, wipe off all of the paint. And then just come in there like this, right? There's too much turquoise and purple. I'm literally just going to go in like at a 45-degree angle, and just tapping and circling, and just pick it up a little bit and spread it around where I'm wanting it. And don't forget those edges.
Yeah.
I need a little bit more green.
Oh, yeah. I am not doing the edges. Boy, Meg. Here, I'll do some wine.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got this really weird, gross color. And it's great. Because if you look at in nature, right, there's really no, like, very little uniformity. There's, like, I mean, I'm sure people know this. There's no, like, true black in nature.
No, yeah.
It's just
like there's no true brown.
Yeah, it's like a mishmash of colors that just, you know, it tricks our eye into thinking, you know, something else. And we're kind of hastily doing the same kind of a thing, but for art.
Well, we're talking tactical rocks. We're also just talking rocks, right? Like just making cool rocks.
Yeah.
And we do have a couple segments today where we get to...
I forgot the third band.
Play around with that.
I said 2.
Oh, yeah. What is your third favorite band?
I really like the Black Keys.
Oh, okay.
I really like that Black Keys. It's got that soulsy kind of blues kind of vibe and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's a good choice. I saw a lot of love for, like, Rob Zombie, Ozzy Osbourne. Like...
Oh, yeah.
A little more of the darker stuff in...
Yeah, see, I wasn't...
System of a Down, yeah.
I mean, I know all of those bands. I've listened to all of them. I wasn't like...
That you wasn't seem like a happy person. Like, that wouldn't have been your
it kind of wasn't. I mean, I said Linkin Park, so that's pretty freaking moody. But...
That's true. We all had some angst.
Yeah.
But you seem to be less angsty.
Yeah, well...
Derived than the rest of us.
It's all a front. It's all a front, I promise you that.
Full of angst. But yeah, we did have a fun segment. Since Devin's here, we want to poke him with a stick a little bit, and do some cool, like, judgy, fun things together.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, we love being judgmental.
I love that.
So we do want to talk about some tactical rocks. Like, why not?
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. We're gonna. Oops, that's not the right title. Meg.
Best towel
friends.
Silly
goose. Let's do this. Rocks.
I was going to say, gotta have an exclamation point's gotta be in there.
Rocks. All right. So we're gonna take a look at some tactical rocks that exist out in the wild, and we're gonna rank them. Are they tactical?
Ooh.
Or are they practical?
Tactical or practical?
Yeah.
Okay. So this looks like the Urukai.
Yeah, this is from the Middle Earth game.
I would definitely say the dude with the sword.
That's really the tactical.
Very tactical. The guy on the banner, though, like, you're a banner man.
He's just walking over the rock.
He's looking. He's walking over it. Really go around it. So we're gonna go 50% tactical, 50% practical.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, the guy with the sword is also just kind of like
pointing.
Hey, go over there.
Yeah.
Like
tactics, right?
I guess.
I'm pointing over that way. This is where you should go.
He's using it to boss people around.
Right, exactly. I mean, if you're an Urukai,
that's fair.
That's what you do.
Yeah. All right. So it's like a 50-50 depending on which one you're looking at.
Oh, Lion Knight.
Is Cody in chat? This is the Lion Knight.
Yeah, from Kingdom Death.
And he's standing on some tactical faces. And he's surrounded by some hot chicks.
Well,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Good for him.
Yeah, right. Get yours. That's probably more practical because you got the Edward Scissorhand kind of a thing. The practicality of like I want to be terrifying,
right?
But also like look at my suave hair.
Look at me, I'm surrounded by hot chicks.
Yeah. He's like I get mine in. I get it in. Oh, disco lights.
Thank you, Polly, for your 5 gifted memberships. Oh my gosh, he got Steven. Steven, turn off your freebies. But yeah, like I was this one is not really like
it's not tactical, but
it's not helping him do anything except look cool.
Right, exactly. But that's the practicality of it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm scary, but also look at the ladies.
Right. It's a nice display board for his
There it is. There it is.
Okay, tactical mushrooms. This is so cute, though.
This is out of my realm of expertise. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, mushrooms. That's a totally different type of tactic.
That's a really, really heavy-duty mushroom, too.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's got that squig jumping off of it.
That's a strong mushroom.
It is. It really is. Or it's a very light squig, which I don't think that's the case.
They don't seem like they would be. They seem like they'd be really, like...
dense.
Yeah.
Or they could be filled with helium.
Dough ball.
It could be a tactic, right? Like, oh, look at these little like dough balls, and then they're bouncing around on top of mushrooms and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go tactical on that one, definitely.
Yeah. It seems tactical. It's giving him some good leverage.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they haven't broken. It seems like the kind of thing that would break a mushroom.
Yeah, I don't think they particularly care about that.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, because they break a mushroom and more orcs and goblins come out.
Aren't they like made out of mushrooms? Aren't they fungus or something?
Yeah, they're like a fungus spore. So maybe that's just a baby orc that they're hatching. Maybe that's what it is.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, they're breaking it and more of them are popping out.
Oh my god. All right. Okay, look, like it barely changed.
Welcome, GW.
He's like, I know, there's so many like this where it's like, the tippy tip of my toe is being used to press and give me some jumping leverage.
This one is 100% tactical because he's a freaking fire slayer.
He's coming down on somebody.
Yeah, I figured that.
He's just tripping.
Like parkour. He's running back and forth, just trying to jump off and then, slay some gobos or some...
This is the best, guys. Best thing about dwarves, right? Because they're like...
Yeah, they're fierce.
They're always bouncing off of stuff and like...
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Riding in barrels down rivers. And...
Well, it's a trope, and it's an awesome trope. Yeah. So it's fantastic.
I love it. Okay. I think that's pretty tactical. Okay, Yoda. So obviously just Yoda in the foreground. He's doing the same thing as the dwarf.
Yeah,
he's jumping off a rock.
Yoda has the Force, though. He doesn't need a rock. Although if he's watched, episode 2, he's jumping off the ceiling and stuff like that. So...
He does, yeah.
That's
right. He does have that cool, like, karate...
Yeah. Also, Star Wars is like, I love Star Wars. So to see Yoda reduced to jumping off of a rock, thumbs down on that.
Okay.
Thumbs down on that. He doesn't need a rock.
It doesn't even matter if it's practical or tactical. It's just bad.
Bad. Not for Yoda.
Bad rocks.
Not for Yoda.
Excuse me. This is a orc forager, I think from Creature Caster.
I've seen this guy, and that's not a rock.
It's not.
It was a rock at one point because
it's a tactical anvil.
It's a giant rock anvil or iron anvil.
But he's not doing he's about to get up on it.
But why?
And I'm like, exactly, like that seems like lot more work.
Go around.
You need to
he also looks
right
really, really
now.
Heavy. Like he's gotta really like gotta press himself up over it when you could just take a step to the left and
shit all over him.
Yeah.
How's he gonna do this? Yeah.
I don't know.
It doesn't seem tactical or practical, really.
Less practical.
Probably more practical for him to smash things on.
Sure. Or maybe he's doing that just to get that extra bit of leverage. Yeah. So maybe it's more practical, but we can both realize that it's stupid.
It is dumb. Yeah, I didn't care for this, so I thought I'd share it.
I love it.
Okay, tactical books.
Tactical books. See, this I love this model because it's equally gross And also he's like a
sure
magistrate with like, you know, the powdered wig and stuff like that. Like I just picture him like he's given down some sort of sentence, and he's like it's very representative of like I don't care about the law. I'm gonna put my foot on it. So
that's true. You know, this whole like army is like crazy. Like they don't know what's going on except him. He knows that everyone around him is crazy.
Yeah, he's the arbiter of justice or something like that.
What a life.
Well, we'll go tactical.
But tactical books.
We'll go tactical.
They're also tactical in the sense that they're there so he can pick them up and read the law to you.
Sure, and he doesn't look like somebody who prizes organization.
No.
So he looks
a bit of a mess.
He probably has a whole big handful of books, throws them down, chooses the book that he wants, casts a spell, gives a judgment, and picks up another book or something.
Yeah.
So it's probably more tactical. I don't know.
I was going to say practical.
Practical?
But
okay.
I don't know, because like he doesn't actually need to step on it either.
No.
The stepping on it is just like
it could be a power move.
Yeah, exactly.
If nobody else knows what's going on, he's like, I do, so I'm gonna step on these books. And well, that's a good point. Super ready. Does he know he's wearing entrails for a wig?
That part I don't know, but everyone's like, if you read the lore, like he knows that everyone's.
I like to think that.
Right.
I just in my little world, I like to think that he doesn't.
Yeah. Maybe I think it comes and goes, right?
Yeah, maybe in his books he was looking at people in powdered wigs and goes, looks good enough. He puts a big old mess of entrails on it. Yeah, this is what I got.
You gotta work with what you got.
Yeah. So maybe it is more practical because he's being very pragmatic in the whole thing. So
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, Star Trek Adventures. I don't actually know what this game is from or what this game is, but I saw it and I was like, oh, that's a dumb rock.
It is. It also looks like if you look at it, it looks like that's the back of him and his head is twisted 180 degrees around. Yeah. Right? That looks like his butt.
It looks so bizarre.
Yeah, it's really bizarre.
It's a bad model. Sorry. Sorry,
it's just the pose.
The pose is not good.
A little weird. And maybe if it was more turned so that we were facing the face, maybe it would look a little bit cleaner and stuff like that. But it's a heroic pose.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot
doing anything.
No, I mean maybe he just hiked up the mountain and he's like leaning or whatever. Maybe it's a little bit more practical. I don't know.
I want to see him out of breath then, if he just climbed a mountain.
Well, that's how you paint him. Paint him with like he's exhausted. Maybe paint some sweat on him or something like
that. Okay, I hated this. I painted this actually like almost a year ago now, and look at this tiny little lump at the bottom.
Yeah,
it's like a tactical
carapace.
Yeah, and it's such a fragile like.
Contact point?
Oh my god, it's so annoying. This model's a good thing it's small, or it would probably break all the time.
How big is it?
It's like this big.
That looks like it's more like a full size.
Yeah, it does, but it's not.
Okay.
I've actually dropped it a couple of times and it hasn't broken.
All right,
so there's that. It's light. Anyway.
Well, tactical or practical though, it's too small to be tactical. It's too small to be practical. So
it's kind of like. Just
there. It's not nactical.
Yeah.
It's nactical.
I have a hard time ranking this one.
Yeah.
All right. This is a dragon. This is also from Creature Caster, I want to say.
Yeah, I love that. I really do like their dragons.
Yeah, they have cool dragons.
Dragon? I mean, it's a red dragon, so it's a smart dragon. It's an evil dragon. There's something going up in that dome of his, right?
Yeah.
He's thinking about something, whether that's the the spot, like the top spot to protect his horde, or that's the best vantage point to do his fire breath on everything. And so I'm gonna say heavy tactical.
Okay, yeah, this seems like somewhere farther away. Like he's kind of like holding up.
He's perching up and stuff, like ready,
prepping.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd imagine it'd take a lot of energy to spew a bunch of fire, right?
No.
No.
I mean. Oh, energy to spew it, yeah.
Yeah, like he's got to kind of build up a little bit.
That part, yeah.
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 So he's a little tactical. He's perched up, ready, so that he can get the most bang for his buck.
I get your point.
Oh, boy, this model.
Guy. Oh, I kind of just love it because he's stepping on another person.
Yeah, he's stepping on his boy.
Yeah.
He's stepping on his boy.
Jerk.
Yeah.
I don't know how tactical it is, but it's funny.
Yeah, it's funny. It's probably more along the lines of practical because he's like taking the gene seed out of him and stuff like that. But like, dude's dead. I painted that model for a commission, and he doesn't have any arms or legs. It's kind of mean.
It is.
It's kind of mean at that point. But, I mean, if we're going on tactical, practical, probably more practical because maybe he has to dig really far into that, weird superhuman skeleton to rip that crap out and stuff like that. So it's humiliating either way.
It is. Yeah. I guess in that sense it's practical.
Yeah, probably more practical. Yeah, practically.
Yeah. So we can rank these things
on
our practical to tactical ranker. I don't know.
Ranker.
But,
I like ranker.
Yeah, I wanted to do a quick check-in to see, looks like we've had a little bit of time for things to dry. Is there anything I can do while we're doing that for the next stage to prep? Because I know mine's a lot brighter than yours.
It is a lot brighter.
Yours is nice and dark.
Yeah, it's a lot more muted and stuff like that. But here's the next thing that I would like to do is let's throw in some tanny or browny kind of colors.
So that will help.
Yeah.
Push it down.
Yeah, just a little bit here and there. Be a little bit more sparse with these ones. It's a little bit up to your flavor, and then we'll be a little less wet with this one.
Yeah.
And we'll just kind of stab in some extra colors and stuff like that. And then we'll start with some dry brushing, and we'll get into some big brushes and stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we'll do this ranking really fast.
Rank.
And then we'll get back to our painting.
Yeah.
All right.
Round 1.
Devin. So our squig we said was pretty tactical, right? Because he's jumping off of that little rock.
Definitely.
Or the mushrooms.
And it, like we said, it's the spore people. Maybe he's making more little gobbos.
That's true.
Right? He's reinforcing his rankings.
Yeah, from his feet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's our urukai and our banner. I feel like there's two of them, right?
Yeah.
But they both lean not tactical.
Yeah, they're definitely...
It could go either way.
Yeah, it could go either way on that regard.
Since there's two of them.
Yeah, because you kind of got a bit of a 50-50 going. One of them knows what they're doing, the other one kind of doesn't.
It's just
so
derpy, walking through some rocks. Okay, what about our Tyrannid dude?
That one's tough.
It is tough.
I'd probably lean it more on the practical side.
Yeah.
In that light blue kind of area.
Yeah. It's literally just practical for us, the painter.
Right. Yeah,
so we
a
can
heavier
attach
contact point.
Yeah, to the face. Yeah, that's about it. Okay. And
the Fire Slayer's 100% tactical.
That's tactical.
Yeah.
It's really no different than the squig.
Yeah.
The squig
for
rider,
sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Okay, Justice Gourmain.
The barrister, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
you made a good argument within the practicality portion of it and stuff like that. So I would lean in that practicality.
Just make him practical.
Yeah.
For his books.
Yeah, he's just throwing it down because there's a flat surface. I don't need these right now. We're good to go. Yeah. Let's go to war. So
exactly.
Yeah, let's keep it practical.
All right. Dragon.
Dragon is 100% tactical.
Getting ready to blow somebody out of the sky, water, whatever. Okay, this guy. We said he's
he's a dummy.
Probably practical.
Yeah,
but he's using it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I think he's using it for the wrong reasons, for sure. Yeah. He's big. He should pick up the anvil and throw it at somebody, not step over it and stuff.
Or pick somebody up, smash them on it, and then take their other thing and make a little sandwich.
Forge himself a skull blade or whatever. Yeah,
that's what he should be doing. That's practical.
It's much more practical.
You go do that when you're done being practical.
Yeah, and you know what? Best case scenario, you have now a new shiny, bloody weapon.
Yeah.
So perfect.
Shiny with blood.
Yeah, shiny with blood. Shiny with blood. Yeah, exactly.
Who was this guy? I forget. What was this? This was Kingdom Death.
Kingdom Death. He's definitely more on the practicality side.
Yeah.
Because he's
probably just pretty practical.
He's hey, check out my lifestyle.
Yeah, which I love it.
Ooh, my life be like.
Yeah. This guy who's stepping on a face.
Yeah, I put in light blue.
Light blue?
Yeah, practical, but a little insulting.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of rude. Star Trek.
I could go either way.
Yeah.
I don't. Ugh.
I don't know what it is. It's
I
just
think
weird.
It looks as though that's the back of him, where his crotch area is.
Yeah,
it looks
they
his
flipped
butt.
the head the wrong way.
Yeah. That's why it looks a little unsettling.
It could go either way because we can't even tell what's the front, what's the back. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Last but not least, it's Yoda. Again, we didn't like this.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. So it could go either way.
We'll just put it in either way.
I think anybody
the misfit bucket.
Yeah, I think anybody can make an argument for either way, but I think either way he doesn't need a rock.
Yeah.
He's a strong, independent, whatever creature he is.
He's Yoda.
Yeah.
All right, that was fun.
Yeah. It was weird. I love it.
Who ranks rocks?
We do.
All right.
At the Hobby Collab.
At the Hobby Collab, yeah. Let's take a look at where we're at.
Yeah. So we got it.
Dry.
We got it nice and dry. You know, we got a bunch of weird, random colors and stuff like that. For yours, I would probably want to add a little bit of this, maybe like this Warnfang brown.
Yeah.
Just kind of in key selective areas.
You thinking highlights or low lights? Because it's kind of a high value brown.
Start in the low and see how it works for you.
All right.
I'm gonna start adding in maybe this kind of Baylor brown, this kind of lighter yellowy kind of color.
Okay. All right. And sorry, when I load it, you think I should just load it like this again? Yeah.
Yeah. And this one, you know, we want to be for this. We're wanting to be a little bit more selective, right?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to always rinse out your brush if you need it, right?
Yeah.
You don't need, like, because we're doing a lot of colors on colors. It's not, we think like, oh, we want to use the color in the brush or the moisture in the brush and stuff like that. But like, hey, if you just want to reset, don't be afraid to wash it out because we're creating our secret sauce.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Mm-hmm. We'll get to that.
Well, spoiler alert on that one. But yeah, we're creating our secret sauce. So similar kind of a thing. We're just going to be very, very, a lot more selective with this. So I'm just hitting it kind of like in some small random areas. I'll wipe off a little bit of that brush. And I'm using it at like kind of like at a 45-degree angle. And I'm using the rest of that moisture in the brush. And I'm just tip-tapping all around. I'll wipe off a little bit more moisture. And I will do the same thing. I'm actually going to switch a brush.
Okay.
I'm going to use this nice, big, soft, rounded brush. Add a little bit of that moisture that we put into the rag. And I'm going to be very, very light. And I'm going to go in circles like this. And I'm going to slowly blend away those, like, kind of tide marks or coffee stains and stuff. Very much like how one would for, like, oil blending and stuff. Okay. Be very, very soft with it. Right, and so it just gives us a little bit more variety in our colors and stuff. I'll do the same thing over here. I'll add little bits here and there.
What brush should I use for that? Like just one
something that's flowy, like that. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be perfect. Add a little bit of moisture to it, just a touch. So this is a little bit of a quote unquote fast technique, but like we took like a decent break. We let everything dry. We can kind of evaluate and see what it is we like, what we don't like and stuff. The fastness portion of it comes from this part that we're doing. But this is a technique that you can really kind of do kind of as you see fit.
Okay.
A little bit of moisture for that. And you kind of come back to it. Back and forth.
Right. Like if I'm not happy with this, I can just go grab a different color.
Yeah, you can
smash it back in.
Yeah, you can eliminate all of this and smash in more colors. Hulk smash. Remember that. And if you notice there are some areas that you just kind of don't like, it looks like it's dry, like you're not able to do this kind of circly blending. Take your other brush, basically with water, and then just use the kind of like the heel of your brush and just kind of scrub some of it into obscurity. Like, go away, Baylor Brown. I mean, we're literally scrubbing the model. So, I forgot to mention this. That's a good reason why a good primer layer is, I would recommend, because I've used bad primer layers where I didn't prime and then I'm just scratching stuff off. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want a little bit of that. Yeah, you want a little bit of that tooth in there. You want as many tooths. Yeah, so now we kind of got this weird amalgamation. See, look, so now yours, let's show this off. Hers is looking less crazy. And there's a little bit more nuance to it.
Okay.
If you're happy with this, you can just leave this alone. And we'll just kind of like we'll let it dry a little bit. I'm going to wipe off a lot of this moisture out of this round brush. I'm going to just kind of keep poking at it. And I'm one little fun technique is keep towards the very end of your brush. So I'm actually blending like this. So I'm not actually holding it close to the ferrule, because if I hold it close like this, I'm putting more pressure on. This is meant to be really, really light. So you can just do this, and you can't really get a whole lot of heavy pressure on it.
Right, because of the way you're holding it.
Yeah, exactly. And you're utilizing that to your advantage and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a very, very light...
It's like such a subtle...
Yeah, exactly.
Change, yeah.
And that's why you want like a nice flowy brush. So like it bends and it moves really, really, really well.
Yeah.
Whereas something like this, right, it's a little bit stiffer. And so that by its very nature is going to kind of remove more paint and dig in a little bit more.
Okay.
And then as you're doing this, like you can continue to do this. One little thing that I like to do, it's kind of a subconscious thing. You are putting paint in the brush, but you don't really see it. So I'll actually go into my rag and I'll just continually pull some of that paint off. Right, it's a kind of an unconscious habit for me.
Oh, on the soft brush.
Yeah,
because you're picking it up.
Yeah, but you're picking very, very little bits to the point where you can't really see like what's going on in that brush. But I do that a lot when I'm doing like my weathering and stuff because I use like oils and enamels and things like that. And so I want to blend it, but if you continue to blend it in particular ways, you're going to start creating too much of a brown. So you want to get rid of some of that paint. Boom, 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 boom.
Okay.
All right. So I'm quite happy with how these goes. It's a little bit more muted, a little bit more demure. I actually really like that one.
Do you? Okay.
Let me see this flat base.
Yeah, go for it.
That's actually kind of cool.
Okay, I'm going to leave it.
I'm going to take a little bit more of that brown here. And I'm just going to be very, very lightly just apply a little bit more in the center.
Okay.
Just to give it a little bit more uniformity. Right, and so this is where the kind of the magic is, right? Nice clean brush, and I'm just going to very lightly... you can also stipple a little bit here and there. And just, you can go in circles, you can go horizontally, vertically, it doesn't matter. But now, it doesn't look quite as crazy and as bright, but you're now kind of smuggling all the colors all together and stuff. So, yeah, let's see the other one.
Okay.
So here we've got these two different flavors. So each of these elements on the base, like with all the different rocks and the different trees and stuff, have a little bit of color from everything everywhere, right?
Right.
So you got like this area that's got a little bit more turquoise than over here. That's fine, right? Over here has more turquoise. Again, that's totally fine. This has more brown. This has more purple. It's totally fine. It's not a big deal. Same kind of a deal here. Now, I'm going a little bit more blendy, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's totally okay. So, the next thing we're going to do is a little bit of dry brushing.
Okay, cool.
So, let's pick out whatever favorite dry brush you got, whatever you're really liking. I really like the Artis Opus ones. They've treated me really, really well. So, I'm going to use a medium one. I mean, I think...
I was gonna steal this one
for the big one.
The what is this called? The Teclon Tiger brushes. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't used those yet.
Okay, yeah, we're liking them a lot actually. Yeah.
Well, I'm always interested in these types of different like styles of brushes and things like that, just because you have so many different applications that you can use for, right? Like this isn't the end all be all. It's a great brush, but like I mean, I went to Dick's and I got this giant brush, and this is really great. I'll soak it with like mineral spirits to just get that really like soft, subtle blend and stuff. So just kind of get a dry brush that you're really, really digging. And this is kind of where we start to pull things together, right? So let's do some sort of brown, some sort of this light kind of tan color.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're just going to do some very basic dry brushing and stuff.
Okay. So we want to brighten it up.
Yeah, exactly. One of the key things with this dry brushing, much like what we've been doing, is add a little bit of moisture to it. We got the next segment.
Yeah, I'm like, is it wet enough?
That just stick your fingers
That's what she said.
Ooh.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so that's how we're going to kind of generally prep our brushes, and don't be afraid to go bigger than what you might think you would want.
Okay.
But you can always drop down to a smaller size. No big deal. You only need a little bit of moisture for this, not a whole lot. And the nice thing about all of this is that you can always go back in and mix your previous colors with that color to like, ooh, that's a little bit too stark. I'll maybe add in a little bit of that kind of wine red kind of color, that green into it. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to smash into this color, into that color, and just blend it on the actual model. Okay. So I think I'm going to do this I'm going to do this brown. What is this? Uniform Brown by Reaper.
Uniform Brown? Okay. Yeah. I guess. Let's put this here. What will I do?
Let's see. So you got like good brightness and stuff like that.
Right. I feel like I need to go. Okay.
Something along those lines. If you realize
decomposed flesh.
My favorite. Start on a flat base because you'll get like an instant read of color right away. Just because it's there's not a lot of elements there.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, because it does look a little bit bright, well, we'll mix in a little bit of your Mournfang brown from your previous layer. Hey.
Rudy, thank you for the 5 memberships. It's so nice to see you. Hope you're doing okay. Who did we get? Proofy, Osway, Elijah Patrick, Andrew Guest, and Willow Weeks, who we know. Rudy has been a member for 8 months. He's been a lab mandrel. Hey, Hobby Collab fam. I apologize. I won't be able to watch the stream. Just got called into work here in Bahrain. Sending a few memberships your way for support. Thank you, Rudy. You're a great supporter of the channel.
That's awesome.
Always nice to see you, and glad that you got to have a little bit of a break. We'll miss you. And Siege Roots, again, 5 Hobby Collab memberships. Thank you, Siege Roots. You're the best. Chris Lambert, Sticky Fingers, Jones, Skull Kid, and Utgar are all new members. So we hope you guys are enjoying the show. Actually, this is probably a good time to segue into one of our really cool offerings for our mandrels right now.
Yeah.
And those of you who are new members, you guys are lab rats. If you like what you're seeing, you want to see more, consider becoming a mandrel. It helps support us. And
be a monkey.
Devin can chit chat through a couple of perks that are coming up soon for our mandrels in May.
I absolutely can.
Yeah.
Yes. So one of the things that I really like doing is I like teaching. And honestly, anything just kind of chatting about this hobby, really. And so kind of a natural extension of, how I paint, why I paint, is to kind of pay it forward. And so one of the really cool perks of being a mandrel here is you're going to get some, kind of exclusive workshops. They're nothing too crazy. They're only about a 2-hour commitment. And we'll kind of chat a little bit about, certain specific topics. And the nice thing is as a mandrel, you get a voice in that. You get to vote on what it is you like to see. And the monkeys have spoken.
Yeah.
And have decided that they want to learn about cloth and fabric and a little bit about basing. So both of those are absolutely huge topics because there's so much to them. But we're going to kind of do some simple crash courses into stuff like, getting texture, getting, like for the basing, for example, rather than just tactical rock dirt, let's add a little bit of, verticality, and kind of like what we've got here with this like little extra tree and, kind of a little bit of, more on the art side of framing the model a little bit, and just making it stand out just a little bit more, and some tips and tricks, for the cloth and fabric. That one is always a heavy question, of like, how do I paint a cape? Because as you all know, Warhammer, tons of capes. Rocks and capes everywhere. So that one we're gonna kind of discuss a little bit. It's gonna be a little bit more lecture oriented in the beginning of, the differences between cloths and what you're trying to achieve, and then we'll kind of go into some like kind of fun tips and tricks where I'll show off. It's just some things that I like to do for, for a rougher cloth versus for a smoother cloth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. We get to kind of chat, and it's just like a little private Discord channel. And I really like them to be interactive. We did some non-metallic metal crash courses, It was really, really cool to see people like, I really, really like this, and I already have like instant improvement, which is amazing to hear. And you'll get better and better and better as you kind of progress in this madness, really, that is our hobby.
We've already seen so many people grow as artists. We haven't even been here for a year, and
that's
so
awesome.
Cool to see people growing as hobbyists. And
that's the whole point.
Out with us,
and you know what? Like I'm also growing as well, because I'm kind of flexing that.
Aren't we all?
That teaching muscle, you know. It's really cool opportunity to be able to kind of do that. Let's see.
I like how this is coming out now.
You like it? All right, cool.
Because I was like looking at this when I was starting, I was like, oh my God, I look like a 5-year-old painted this.
It's okay.
And I was like, this needs to come together so I don't cry.
Yeah, this is a process, right? You're building
Trust the process.
Yeah. So like now, like you can kind of see, I got a little bit of this kind of, it's it's getting a little bit more muddy, but we're starting to get some colors to it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to do similar techniques, right? Where we're stippling, stabbing, and turn that overbrushing kind of blending, which is those little circles and stuff. And then play around with the consistency of the paint, right? If you want it a little bit less, wipe off some of that paint so you can get a little bit more of a dapple technique. I also, this is kind of an unconscious thing. I actually use my finger. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you want to switch the camera over?
Your fingerprints. Oh yeah, let's do that.
I literally have my fingerprints on a lot of my models. So as I'm looking around and I'm playing with the different style of my paint, right? Some of it's a little bit thicker, some of it's a little bit thinner. But if it's a little too heavy, I actually just do this. I just tap it off. I'll wipe it off my finger and stuff, just so that I just take off some of the more heavy application. I've noticed that it's, one, my finger's right there. I got 5 of them on this hand. And 2, it doesn't quite, it's almost like it's softer than a brush in some applications.
Yeah.
Because you're removing
the flesh of your skin.
Yeah, you're removing just a little bit of that paint, but not a whole lot. And then you're also adding texture because your fingerprints and stuff. So that's always a lot of fun. And it's also a fun conversation piece in the wild of like, your hands look disgusting. It's like, well, it's actually paint. It's art.
So it's fine.
It's totally fine.
Don't judge.
Yeah.
Don't judge me, Mom. Or whoever it is.
Yeah, Mom. Mom works. Anytime I see her, she's like, what's wrong with your hand?
What are you doing?
You should know this by now. I paint.
I know. I was visiting my dad not too long ago, and my stepmom was watching what I was doing, and she's like, that's so funny. Like, you're so, like, because I was wearing gloves.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm, trying to keep the model free. She's like, you're wearing gloves. You want to protect your hands or protect whatever. But you're painting all over your skin, like down here. And I was like, oh, I'm not protecting my hands. I'm protecting the model.
Yeah.
My hands are fine. Like.
Well, one thing I've also noticed, but when because I do it all the time in my hands, because your skin tone has all of these other colors. You're almost looking at like light color interaction with them and stuff like that. Not to get too nerdy and stuff, but
nerd.
Yeah, it's just a little different. I also don't mind being messy. Some people are neat and fastidious, and they're okay to be wrong. I'm adding a little bit of that decayed flesh into my mix. So what I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
Here, I am literally taking just a little bit. I'm separating a little bit right here. I'll take just a little bit of that kind of uniform brown.
Okay.
I'll do the same thing. So I'm kind of getting a bit of an intermediary mix.
Yeah.
Wipe off some of that paint. And now, now I'm doing a little bit more uniformity with everything. I'm now going to be a little bit more precise with my dry brushing.
Okay.
That's a little too much.
Yeah, I might need a smaller brush for this one at some point. Yeah.
That's why I gave you this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
see how it goes. Yeah.
Right? Like, it just depends on how comfortable you are. I always tell people, do a bigger brush than what you might think.
Yeah, we've been learning that.
Yeah, you can do some great things with small brushes, but don't sleep on the big brushes. Like on that nice little promo that you did for me on the Fabrics ad, that guy, he was painted with a number 5 almost exclusively.
Yeah.
Which is this size of a brush. And I got all of that texture. I got all of his eyes, all of that stuff with this brush. And it's how I really like to paint because it allows you to hold more moisture in the brush. It allows me to be impatient in that I don't have to go back and apply more paint throughout my experience and stuff. And it's just always fun to people like, oh, it must be like real tiny brush. And nope, it's a nice big fat one that's the size of my pinky, you know?
I mean, as long as it holds the tip, like...
Just the tip.
Just the tip, which, oh, are you trying to segue us early?
Maybe.
Yeah, is this a good time for that? Or
sure.
Should we hold off?
Well, let's finish this kind of first little application and stuff like that. I don't know what time it is.
It's 11:02.
Time is irrelevant when you're painting with us.
It's already been an hour. It goes so fast.
Yeah.
So you don't worry when go back to what you're saying about your fingers in the paint. Like you're not worried so much about oils from your fingers, or it's such a small amount.
I'm sure that it has some interaction with the paint. I haven't really looked into this too much. I've never felt that there's any... It doesn't detract from anything. Now, if you're now on a bigger scale, like what some people are painting, like with dioramas or even canvas painting and stuff like that, I'm sure it has some effect. Mm-hmm. I haven't noticed it at such a small scale. So here's a really good example. Like, this now looks kind of like a stone. It looks like we went from a dark grayish, brownish into like the tans and stuff. And it doesn't show as much on camera, but I think it's more interesting. Yeah. There's more colors. Like here, check it out. You can kind of see it for yourself. There's just more interesting things going on. I'm going to continue to work at...
No, I agree. And then when you look at like the sides where you don't have as much of the highlight, like you really see all the colors that went into it.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. It's just...
It adds a lot of interest. And like it makes it look more realistic.
So we don't go with realism. Believable.
Not realistic. Yeah, thank you. That's what I mean. Yeah.
We want believability, because the moment you try to do realistic in this hobby, you're gonna kill yourself with trying to do that. So I always say we just want to get to the point of believability on this.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Because I spent a lot of time. It doesn't look realistic enough. It doesn't look realistic enough. It's like, well, newsflash, this is a tiny little plastic space marine. It's not realistic at all.
And also it's a space marine.
Right, exactly. Exist. So much like dry brushing, you're just going to continue adding more and more to your mix. You're going to highlight more and more. You're going to be more and more selective. And you're just going to apply it wherever you see fit. Now, one real fun thing that you can do, especially with these bigger brushes, because you've got more bristles in this right here.
Yeah.
You get more texture in a more random application. So I'm using that to my advantage. So I'm going to be highlighting these little crooks of this, weird tree. And I'm going to actually use that to my advantage. And I'm just very lightly kind of stippling, like slowly stippling around. And I'm okay with it getting all over the place. Because it's just going to add texture in different areas that you might not have thought to apply to. So you're utilizing the tools that you have at hand in a little bit more of a, I don't want to say informed way, but like purposeful way.
Yeah. I really like how we're throwing the warm colors over the the cool colors. It's a nice contrast.
See, I'm doing it the other way around, right? I'm throwing cool over the kind of the more warm, right? It's a little different, right? It gets cool contrast and stuff.
Yeah.
Here's also another fun thing that you can do. So let's pull this in. I use the other tip of my brush. I'll add a bunch of water into my palm, right? Notice I'm unloading the brush quite a bit. I'll wipe a lot of that off. And I will continually wipe a lot of that off to the point where I don't have a whole lot in there. And I'll actually do that. I'll do it one more time. And I'll actually take, now that my brush is relatively unloaded, right? I'll actually put that moisture in. And I'll leave that moisture in because now we're doing kind of like a glaze stippling.
Okay.
So you know how when you have a lot of moisture in your brush but not a whole lot of paint, and if you just sit there and you just go bloop, it kind of creates this weird pool. Yeah. Almost. We can utilize that to our effect with these larger brushes. And you can kind of get little bits of texture here and there. Let's see if it will show up a little bit better on this flat piece. And it's really, really soft and subtle. Let me angle it to the light. And you can kind of see that little wet spot right there in the middle. That has paint in it.
There we go.
Right? You can see that little wet spot right there. And we're just adding literally little like coffee stains worth of paint right in there.
Yeah.
And it's very, very soft. It's very, very subtle. But you can put the highlight color into your shadows without highlighting your shadows for the most part, these darker colors. And you could just add a little bit of extra information. I'm all about little points of discovery in any of my pieces, whether it's a gaming figure or it's a competition piece. Like, I love when people look at it and they go, oh, that's fun. I really like this.
Yeah.
You know, to me, you'll give it to 10 different people and only one person sees it. And it's like, it's fantastic.
Hopefully
it's so,
the right
so
judge.
Cool. Yeah, hopefully the right judge, but it's usually not. So yeah, you can utilize that like kind of more damp dry brush in a glaze kind of consistency almost to get yourself a little bit of extra information and kind of oomph in your darker areas. And the nice thing is that like it just adds to the blending, right? We're not actually blending, but you're adding to the blending in the sense that you pull it away from your eyes and all of a sudden it's now starting to look like a tree. Like, look at that. Look at it on even on camera, right?
It looks so good. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Rudy, for your donation. Wanted to send a bit more to say thanks to Devin.
Yeah.
I plan on watching this later to know how to paint igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks.
Getting real sciencey up here. I just know rocks is rocks.
Well, with those, I mean, it seems like you would undercoat specific colors.
Start and that's why reference photos is always it's always a really good idea. Honestly, go for a walk the dog, go outside and be that weirdo who is crouching on the ground and taking pictures of weird rocks. Like take a lava rock home. Like when you're at a store complex or whatever and they've got lava rocks there or a quartz or something like that. Take it home. Like use that as a real you can use it as real basing. But you can use it as like kind of a real reference and you can kind of say, okay, what's going on? I believe the act of actually doing that is also part of this hobby. It's activating your brain in a very
some grass.
It's a different way. It's activating your brain in a way where you're now having to use this like kind of problem solving portion of your brain that's not behind a brush. Right? You're basically putting that away and you're still doing that problem solving. How can I achieve that particular thing? What's going on here? Why is it doing these things? And just the act of doing that, one, I'm a weirdo. It's fun. And two, it's really gratifying because then all of a sudden you start to know what you're talking about. And that's kind of where I've started to get to. I still don't know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, no, that's important. Like a big part of art is learning how to see.
Yes.
You have to learn how to see.
That's a really good way of putting it. You got to learn to open your eyes and actually see. You see it all the time unconsciously.
Like people draw faces, right? And you draw a circle and you draw circles for the eyes and a triangle for the nose. And like, if you keep doing that over and over and over, you can get better. Your triangles become, a little more like lifelike and things like this. But your people are all going to look the same unless you're actually looking at the way everyone's
faces are
totally different. Like,
right? You've got
especially like the negative space and just like where do the angles change?
Sure.
And,
you have general rules, but you need to know those general rules. The circles, the triangles, the how things are certain, like how you highlight a sphere versus a cylinder and stuff. But those rules, once you kind of know them, are easily bent and broken. For the sake of, well, that's not what this person looks like. That's not what this rock looks like, or this tree. And it's really gratifying. Like I tell people all the time in my NMM class, right? Because we're doing basics.
Yeah.
Just let's look at it in a vacuum. Let's work on our blends. Let's work on where we do the highlighting. But it helps open people's eyes to kind of go, oh, let's look at the way that camera lens is reflecting, right? And if you look at certain things in real life, there are very few people that can replicate that in this mini form, right? There are very few people that can do it just like that. But if you can get the impression of it, that's why I say believability, you can do some really fun and cool things. So I want to point out, yeah, there we go.
It's so magical.
There's little bits of texture all throughout here. Kind of what I was saying, that kind of like glaze stippling. It just makes things just a little bit more interesting. It gives things more of a natural style of texture. It's a lot of fun to do.
So you're saying, sorry, I was in the middle of something else when you were doing that, but
no problem. Let's see.
Let's walk me through it. So the glaze stippling. So I'm grabbing like, what am I?
I would use a round brush.
Round brush. Okay.
Yeah, I would use.
Thanks.
Actually, let's do something a little bit bigger. Let's do this one.
Okay.
Right? So we're going to take the heel of your brush or the tip. I don't know, the other tip. I do this, right? This one hasn't had any paint in it, so we don't need to worry about getting paint off. But we're going to work these. This is actually really, really stiff.
Yeah.
Let's give you this one.
Okay.
Right? It's nice and soft. We'll work it in. And the reason why we do the backside and not this, because then it gets way too sopping wet. We're going to work in some moisture into it. Now, go ahead and put whatever color that you're wanting to kind of stipple in. What color were you? Oh, you were using the decayed flesh?
Throw some more of that in.
Yeah, so then what you're going to do is we're going to creep onto it. Much like how we've been, like TLC says, you got to creep. We're going to be very, very, very gentle with this. So we're going to go just like this. I'll show it on camera. We're going to actually kind of put the brush down. We're going to push the tip into it just a little bit, just the tip. You're not going to see a whole lot on there, but there's paint in there, right? So then we're going to get rid of some of that paint. Then we're going to put a little bit of that water in there and add more moisture to it, right? So we want a little bit of paint in there.
Okay.
Work it into the bristles a little bit.
In my hand or where did you do it? Doesn't matter.
Dealer's choice.
All right.
I would add a little bit more paint.
Okay.
Yeah, just because this is not, it hasn't had any paint, a whole lot of paint in it, right? I've only used it for blending. Perfect. Okay. So now take the other tip of the brush, put that in there, and just be very, very light. Don't soak the whole thing up. Just lightly tap, get some of that paint in there, and then you can kind of see and test on the other side of your hand. Do you see little chunks of water coming out, or little blobs of water?
Not quite.
Maybe add a little bit more water.
Yeah, dry.
Yeah, I'm working with a kind of an already quote unquote primed brush.
Okay.
Right? That one hasn't really been. So it does. There's a little bit of work involved. And then again, very, very light application. I mean, you can use it all the way out here. You can just pinky out on this, right? Just pinky out, and just boop, 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 and put that kind of glaze stippling in random places and stuff.
Okay.
Let's see. So yeah, what you're kind of looking for is that coldness, right, on your hand. You're looking for that little sheen of moisture. So I think you should be good now.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, same thing. You're just going to stipple it. And what you're looking for, and this is the nice thing, you got all these lights here.
Yeah.
Is angle it in a way so when the moment you touch, you can see a little bit of moisture.
Water.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you see?
No.
No? Okay.
I don't think it's primed enough.
Here.
Let me
use this one. This has the same.
There's some wet.
Oh, there you go.
There
you
it is.
go.
Okay.
So that's all you're going to do, and you're not going to see it right away.
Okay.
That's kind of the thing that does take a little bit of getting used to, is you're not going to see it right away, but you need to trust that there is moisture going on there. That's why I angle it in weird ways. So, okay, I am seeing moisture. Boom. Don't be afraid to do light presses here, heavy presses there.
Okay.
And you don't have to use your hand for this. You can do it in a rag and stuff like that. It's just, it's a really good illustrative purpose to show how much water I'm actually putting into my hand and into the brush and stuff.
I can feel it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I guess it's
feel
nice.
it. Feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, that.
Yeah, Marky Mark.
Oh, Marky Mark.
Got that good
I had a Donnie doll when I was a kid.
No, you didn't.
I did. I had Donnie.
That's awesome.
And my dad made fun of him because he had a ponytail. So I cut it off.
Oh my gosh.
I cut it off. I was like, because, early 90s, homophobia was real. He's like, It's like, he's kind of girly.
Men can't have ponytails.
So I cut off his ponytail and I gave him a mother tattoo. I was like, there, Dad. Now he's not
butch
girly.
Now. That's great. That's fantastic.
And then I didn't want to play with him anymore.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's so great. So with all of this, it's up to taste, right?
Yeah.
I might go in with an even smaller brush in certain areas, and you can reduce the area more and more and more.
Yeah.
Just for like a little bit of intrigue on this.
Yeah.
You can start adding in some grays too.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
But we've been talking about tips quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Why don't we talk about them a little more? We did make a quiz for you. Last time you were here, we played just the tip.
I know. I really liked that.
We were looking at tips of hobby supplies.
I'm wise to your shenanigans now, so maybe I'll do better.
Yeah. I tricked you with a mountaintop tip. So
I thought that one was fantastic. I like that.
Yeah. Figured since we're talking rocks, and I tricked you with a mountain last time, let's look at the tips of some mountains.
Got it. Okay.
And see if you can identify what they are.
What mountain range it is?
What mountain range is this?
Good Lord.
Okay. Yeah, it's impossible, dude. So good luck.
Geography.
I guess if chat thinks they know, they can help you out.
Oh,
But yeah, I don't think I'd
use
be able
every
to
resource
do
I can.
I know. Isn't this terrible? I really am running you through the ringer.
Just a tip.
So yeah, look at this mountain range. It's covered in snow.
My favorite.
And that's all you have to go off of. What are some snowy tipped mountains that we know
The
about?
Rockies, the Adirondack,
the
Appalachians.
Yeah.
Is it okay? Can I use a lifeline? Is it in
totally.
this one? Isn't this country?
Not this one.
Or did you type in snowy peaked mountains on Google?
I just was like, famous mountains. Go.
Famous mountains.
Famous mountain ranges.
Then I'm going to go one that's near and dear to my heart, the Tetons.
All right. Let's see if
the
it's
Grand
the
Tetons.
Because it's not. It's the Alps.
It's the Alps.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Wrong continent.
Do you ski?
I love skiing. Yeah.
Do you really? Oh, yeah.
Well, I
you go to
snowboard.
Tahoe. That's right. You go to Tahoe and snowboard. Yeah.
I've been snowboarding since I was 12.
Yeah.
So
So you should have known this. You should know all snowy mountains.
Which Alps? French or Swiss?
It's Swiss, actually.
Swiss. That's it's actually a bucket list item. Is to snowboard in the Swiss Alps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. I actually literally have it written down. Is one of my?
Do you really?
Lists. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Well, I hope you get to do it one day.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. That'd be because Switzerland looks gorgeous. Oh my gosh, really?
There's actually more clouds in this picture than mountains.
And that looks like it's green.
Isn't that pretty? Yeah.
It is.
Good luck, Devin. I didn't warn you. You'd have to know some mountains.
Yeah. I like geography, but I didn't realize it would come in handy at this critical time. Is it in this continent?
Actually, I forget. I don't know what.
No dice.
I actually forget. I think this one is in our continent, though. Yeah, this is in America.
This is a tip I'm not super familiar with. Ayo. Yeah. Goodness gracious.
It's also barely a tip. It's a slope.
Yeah. It's really messing with. It's really the edge of the tip.
Yeah.
So it's just the edge on this one. This is not fair.
Do some edging with this one instead of tips.
Some edging without a tip.
Yeah.
So we'll go there.
Should we just see what it is?
Yeah, let's just see what it is. I'm maybe Mission Peak. Oh, I said the Appalachians. Yeah. Okay.
But not in wintertime.
Not in wintertime. Maybe that's where I got screwed up there.
I would really like one day. I shouldn't say this. Like bucket list item. Like this is. It's like adjacent. Like it'd be super cool to go and hike the Appalachian Trail.
Oh,
like,
I would love
to do that.
I would love that.
I just don't think I'm actually ever going to do it. It's expensive.
I don't doubt it.
Like
I've
how
never
long
looked into it.
You have to take off so much time from work to do it.
Yeah, or you make that your job. There you go. You'd be like a park ranger. I don't know if they have parks in Appalachia.
Probably.
But no, gorgeous. I would absolutely love that.
I know. Well, all right.
You're a trickster.
Devin is 0 for 2.
Yeah, 0 for 2.
Okay, this one is actually like everyone knows about this one.
Mount Everest? No. Well, yeah, Mount Everest is the Himalayas. Okay, cool. Yeah, there we go.
That counts.
All right, I'll take it.
He did it.
Mount Everest is in.
It's basically the Himalayas. All of it. Yeah.
That's definitely not a bucket list item because there's been a lot of people that have died for that.
Jesus, have you seen the movie Everest?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I mean,
I highly recommend it.
Vertical Limit as well. Like, oh my gosh, no, thank you. No, thank you.
I would never want to do anything like this. There's not an ounce in my body that wants to do
this. Not for the Himalayas. I love this. I love, hiking and stuff like that.
Sorry, like Everest and
26,000 feet.
Crazy.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Real fun story. I went to school out in Southeast Idaho where I snowboarded and hiked the Tetons all the time and stuff like that. And we were going to do a snow hike out in this one particular ridge out in the Tetons and stuff. And I just had this bad feeling about it. And I was like, no, guys, we can't do this. We can't do this. And my roommate and a couple of my friends were super, super pissed about it. And we didn't end up going. The next morning, there was an avalanche on that peak that we were going to go. That was the plan that we were going to. Yeah. I mean, luckily no one was hurt or anything like that. But there was an avalanche. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow. Talk about divine intervention and gut intuition on that one. My goodness.
You wouldn't be here.
No, I wouldn't be talking about tips and edging.
No, that's why we're here at the Hobby Collab. All right, this one.
Don't worry, Super Ready. I'm also not good at this.
Did you know it's pronounced super reedy? Isn't that weird? Right?
Oh. Well, he's wrong.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. Anyway, here's another tip. Here's another mountain tip.
Is it in this continent, or do you not know?
I think this one is. I can't remember, actually. I should know, because I put it together. I have no idea.
I'm going to say the Rockies.
Okay. That's a good guess. No, it is here. Yeah, it's the Sierras.
Okay. All right. Close.
It's close. This is like our mountain range. This is in California.
That looks like in Nevada. Nevada going into the Sierras and stuff like that. Okay. All right. Well, I'm narrowing it down.
It's like our West Coast mountain range.
I'm narrowing it down.
Creates our
molecule
climate.
Going to build a big base of a mountaintop type rocks for a 6-inch tall mini. How to build those rocks up, trying to find online and adapt. Holy cow. For a 6-inch tall mini?
Have you seen Cow Mountain? It's a luminous I'll pull it up for you.
Cow Mountain. The cow.
Like the big cow.
Yeah, the big cow guy. Yeah.
Cow, I forget what it's actually called, luminous.
Yeah. I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, that guy.
There he is. Yeah. Crazy, right? Look at that. Look at the tip of that mountain.
Oh my gosh. So you're talking about like he's on the top of a mountain? Oh.
Thank you, Molecule, by the way, for this super chat that we're talking about.
Honestly, that portion, you're going to go for like you remember like those like in science class, like in high school, they would do the cross sections, right? Where you're just looking at a very small section.
Yeah.
I would think of it something like that. So find whatever tip you're trying to build up on, and I would form it in a way where maybe he is. I wouldn't put it like a tip right in the center because then it's kind of going right up his crotch.
Right.
I'd maybe do like a selection of tips around, and then put him very cleverly around so he doesn't have the tip going up. In his crotch or anything like that.
Or armpits or...
Yeah, but definitely this is going to be
maybe like behind him.
Yeah, a scratch build for sure. Kind of like so you can frame that big old mini, and you can put, kind of like what I have with these trees, right? You can put like a big chunk of that rock behind him. So if you think of like the mini is maybe standing right here, right? This will help kind of frame it. And so you can give the impression that like he is on the peak. He is not on the tallest tippy peak, but he's in those mountain ranges.
In the mountains.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That would be kind of cool. That'd be a really fun and interesting kind of challenge and stuff like that. So
cool. Yeah.
All right, Sierras.
Thank you for the question, Molecule.
I'm narrowing it down.
All right, there's only 2 left.
Mission Peak. I don't know.
You don't know?
Final answer.
This one is in America, though.
It was taken with a potato, though. So
isn't this a terrible picture?
Yeah, it's an awful picture.
Taken with a potato.
Yeah, I don't know. I love it.
That's what we say.
Mission Peak.
All right, Mission Peak. No.
It's a Ford Tempo.
It's a 1994 Ford Tempo. Of course.
The trickery doesn't stop here.
How did you not know?
And you know what? It's really my ignorance, and I'll correct that.
Yeah.
I'll correct that. I'll have to study up my mid-90s terrible cars.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe next time you'll get it. All right, last one. Wow. This is not in our country.
Okay,
This is not in our continent.
This actually looks like the islands in Thailand in the Phuket island chain, because I've been there.
Oh,
and
fun.
They're these giant grand islands that nobody can live there because it's just all vertical, and they're just sitting in the ocean, in the sea, in the Andaman Sea.
Taken over by mountain goats.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say somewhere in the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam island kind of chain.
No.
Ethiopian highlands.
Yeah, not a terrible guess, but that's what it is.
Never been to Ethiopia.
I didn't know Ethiopia had so many like mountains.
Right, I know.
I don't know what I picture. I don't know anything about it.
Well, it's the same thing with like when you think of Africa, what do you think of? The Sahara.
Right, that's what everybody is sold.
But Africa is so freaking huge that as you go to different areas, it's like, oh no, there's jungle here and there's beach here and there's I don't know, highlands here. So Ethiopia is in Africa. So you're so tricky. You're so tricky.
Oh my gosh, I totally got you.
Oh, I like that. It's the surface of Mars. Not enough red, but yeah.
All right, where am I at? It's 11:30. We got half an hour left. In a little bit, we'll be doing a critique.
Cool.
So stick around for that.
So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start adding gray.
Let's do it.
Just because it's just a little bit more interesting, and as we know, like you're gonna add various shades of gray and stuff like that. So I'm gonna use this kind of rocky gray. It's just a light gray. You're doing a little bit more warm. That might be kind of a good gray. Yeah. This medium sea gray. Again, same thing. We're just maybe get a slightly smaller brush, and we're gonna be a little bit more focused in its application.
Okay.
I have some real tiny ones if you're really wanting, but this is a quick and dirty kind of technique. So no big
talking about this,
deal.
The dry brushes.
Yeah, that's okay. Fine. I'm saying we have real small ones if you want.
Oh,
it's totally up to you.
Let's do that. I'll try.
That's real small.
It is little baby.
Little baby. I've gone through 4 of those. Like you can see. Yeah. Well, look at this one. There's like no. There's like 3 hairs.
Real fast.
Yeah, there's 3 hairs in there. I decided like, okay, I can't nurse this anymore because I'm mostly just smashing the metal ferrule into my models and stuff like that.
Off.
Exactly. So with this, much like a normal dry brush, right, we're gonna actually apply this a lot lighter, right?
Okay.
We're in the like kind of terminal stages of these highlights and stuff like that. I know that actually, as that was coming out, that sounded a little dark, but that's okay. And we're gonna do a little bit more of a traditional dry brush, and we're just gonna wipe it over, dry brush everything, do a little bit of stippling here and there.
Oh, I'm like, why can't I see? Because of that. There we go. Okay.
And we're just going to increase a little bit of the colors into it all and just put a little bit of gray. And I went ham-fisted on this. So, fun little thing, because it is still there, even though it is dry to the touch, I took this brush right here, and I'm just going to, with a little bit of moisture, I'm just going to kind of overbrush a little bit, which is just a heavier moisture brush on it, and I'm just going to soften those blends and stuff. So now we got a little bit of gray in there, and then I'll move on to the tree. Again, a little bit more focused on those raised edges. And don't feel free to put it into the dirt as well. Like it doesn't matter particularly where you want. Now, you might want to avoid, especially with these grays and tans that we've been doing, maybe you want to avoid the dirt a little bit more. That's where you can put an ink or a wash in, and you now have all those colors, and then you put like an Agrax Earth shade, or I really like Skeleton Horde contrast to give that kind of yellowy kind of hue.
Yeah.
And so you still have all of those same kind of mother colors, if you will, like across everything, but now you're being selective with like a wash, and you're washing in those particular areas, and you're now further defining what these elements are. Let's add it to these little bridgy branches. Kind of a fun little project.
Actually, yeah, it is. It's been kind of cool watching this come to life.
And what's really cool about this too is this, once you're kind of quote unquote done with this here, you don't have to be done with this. You can then start applying washes and inks and contrasts in key areas. And actually, I even recommend to do that, because that way you can further make distinctions between the different basing elements and stuff. Those just take a long time to dry.
Right.
So, we would basically put a wash on something, and we would just watch it dry for a little while, which is not the most engaging content. But yeah, I'll kind of maybe right before we kind of cap it all off, I'll show you, and we'll pick up a wash or two and just kind of in key areas and put it in.
Yeah. I was like, where do I go next with that?
Any way you want. Yeah, and then so much like the last segment, just the tip, we're going to be super deliberate, moving around the model. You can kind of see in these areas, like I'm purposely missing these shaded areas. I'm hitting these raised areas. I'm literally just tip tapping. I know there's probably a proper name for the technique, which might be called stippling, but I just tip tapping.
I do not want this exploding.
Tip tap, tip tap, tip tap. Yeah, so I am getting pretty
paperclip.
Paperclip
to like clear.
Oh, oh. Here, just do this.
Oh yes. Oh, okay. I was trying to avoid that because now it's too much. Oh well.
Break out of your comfort zone.
I know.
Paint is paint.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
About it, Meg.
So I'm gonna snag this one again. And one of the things that I really enjoy doing is that kind of lightly dampened brush blending. And I really, really like this kind of, what is this called? It's an angled shader for makeup. You can tell it's for makeup because it's all glittery on the handle. I got it on Amazon in a pack for like $7. And these were my first like quote unquote high quality dry brushes outside of the, like Artis Opus and stuff. And they worked really well. They're not the greatest for certain things, but for this, for blending and shading and stuff.
For things that can be messy.
Yeah.
They're totally great. Yeah.
There we go. So that's starting to kind of come alive a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, that looks amazing.
Like Flyleaf said, I'm alive. I'm alive. Yeah. So we're just at this point, it's just now up to taste, right? It's all tweaking. I think that these are at some pretty good levels to now you can start making more distinctions. You can start coming in with your normal brushes and coming in, wash certain key areas, picking some certain details out and stuff. And so I'll do a little bit of that right now just so that you can kind of catch up before the next segment.
Sure. Yeah.
And I will make my own grimy wash. So I'm going to use this walnut brown. I'm going to put a little bit on the palette. Yeah, you can make your own wash, people. I add a very small amount of this walnut brown because I do not want a whole lot. And I'm literally just adding the paint water to it. Boom! We got like a makeshift kind of wash. So this is a key distinction too, is you don't want a whole lot on your brush. You just want a little bit. And you're just I'm gonna put it into the ground area right here. And what we're doing is we're adding more colors, but we're further defining very key areas. And I'm going to actually not sop everything because I like seeing a little bit of that green on the ground here. I like seeing that kind of ochre-y, kind of brownish hodgepodge mix, so I'm going to just leave that. But over here by the stones, I'll put a little bit more into the crevasse. And I will just further define and refine however you see fit. And now we've kind of got a little bit more of a starker contrast. Let's put the there.
Oh yeah, that looks nice.
Yeah, we're now just deepening the colors. You can do this with actual color too. So you know how we use these purples? Mm-hmm. We use these dark greens, or in your case, the turquoises and stuff. You can then add like a wash or an ink in those colors. And that's actually a lot of fun too, because you're then going like, well, I see a little bit of that purple, but I'm missing a little bit of it.
Right.
Grab yourself a wash, or even take that purple that we have right here, right? I might take a little bit of this here, and I might make another little wash, another little kind of glazy kind of wash here with the same color that I'm using. And I will actually come in there and I'll wash in these like heavy recesses more of that purple. It really comes down to like whatever it is you're wanting to do. Mm-hmm. For quick and dirty for your army, maybe you don't want to go through all of this. But if you want to do something a little bit more special and spectacular, you can absolutely come in and add more purple. So you can kind of see.
Yeah.
I'm adding the purple back into it, right?
I like that.
It's a back and forth kind of process. But yeah, hopefully you kind of get the idea that you can do some really interesting things with natural elements in a fun way. That's not just like, ugh, I gotta base coat this, I gotta dry brush this, I gotta wash this.
Very true.
Painting should be fun. Fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, that's always how I've approached the bases. Which I shouldn't. Like, stuff like this is way more enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, like, and in all fairness, right, especially for smaller pieces, like, you know, like an army or whatever, you're like, the model is the focal point, like, not the base. The base is kind of a slog to get through. But, you know, with doing stuff like this, it just makes it, like, less of a slog to get through and a little bit more on the enjoyable end. Yeah, so I'm just playing around now of just adding in little bits of purple throughout. I might come back in here, do the same thing with a green. I'll add that green back in. Oops. And this is where you can then kind of have the impression, like, if you want to add this kind of olivey green. Oh, it might be getting a little bit of moss or mold buildup, you know what I mean? Because maybe it was recently wet. Like, this is your story. You can do it as you want. If you don't like it, you just come back in.
Paint over.
That's a little... No, you just blend it out. I mean, you can obviously paint over it, but...
I'm teasing. No. It's... Yeah, I love the wet blending.
Yeah.
It's very forgiving. Like, you can go in and keep working with it.
The key thing with it, and then, like, if you're doing it on a model, for example, right, a lot of times we get real, like, oh, I don't want to do this, because it's like your nice model and stuff, and you're not wanting to be sloppy in a particular sense. But a kind of a like pro tip for wet blending on a model is
we need like a button.
Yeah, boom, like everywhere, right? Like, you know, 2008 YouTube, just boom, 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 boom. Is just one big thing that you want to do is, maybe I can do it here, is you really just want to have like a nice thick application. Thicker paint works really well for this. Thick application of paint. Oh, I'm going to try to wet blend two completely different colors.
Ooh.
And you want to put them next to each other, but you want to have a little bit of a valley in between so that you can kind of come in and slowly sweep back and forth. Right?
Yeah.
Wipe off the paint. Maybe you need a little bit more gray coming up into all of this, so you start from the gray a little bit more. Wipe off the paint, come down with the purple. Right? This isn't a perfect blend. This is a ridiculous blend I decided to try to do. But you're basically going to create this merged or this married kind of color in between.
Yeah.
It certainly works a little bit better with bigger brushes because you have more moisture. It also works better with more similar colors.
Yeah, you get like a smoother. But this is kind of interesting. It's good to watch it like this because it's interesting to watch you struggle through it, right? It's a little harder when it's super contrasted.
Yeah, this perfect kind of application. But then it's also a little warm in this room, so it's drying a little bit. But you can come back in with this.
I did turn on the heater because I was so cold. Are you okay?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. I got my water.
I didn't even think about that.
I tend to run hot. It's fine. But yeah, I
tend to run cold.
that's
everyone
okay.
here knows.
Yeah, but then you can kind of see a general idea of wet blending between the two. We're doing that with this, but the nice thing is we don't have to be super precise and super controlled with all of this. We're not trying to get that perfect gradation of color on all of that because it's a rock.
So nice.
What are you thinking so far? Actually, let's see yours.
Oh, I'm like way happier with it. I want to keep going. Like I want to brighten stuff up more. But I threw in some green and
look
some more
at
of the
that.
red.
This is wild.
A little alien. Little alien tree, yeah.
So the nice thing about this is that you can, because you've got little textures all right in here.
There's a lot of texture on that
with moss and plants, and there's a little shrubbery thing. That's where the green can come into play. Mm-hmm. That's when you can start adding in your darker greens or your olives or whatever that you're wanting. You don't have to keep going in and adding greens and all of this, because now you can start picking stuff out right in here and stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, this is really awesome. And your tree, I actually really like the look of your tree. It's disco.
I am liking the tree. I was looking at it and I was like, oh, this feels Craft World inspired.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to take that.
And they do
win.
They do things bizarre how they do with color. It's crazy.
I love it.
But like, it looks like a stone. Like it looks like tree. It looks like it. But then you look into it and you go, whoa, this is wild. And I like that the ground is a lot more purple and brown, and the rocks are a little bit more kind of that yellowy kind of gray and stuff. And same thing with the tree. And you can further accentuate anything that you're wanting, anything that you see fit. That's the nice thing about this is you're adding in all of the colors are in everything. So then you can just how much color, how little color, all that kind of stuff, which is honestly fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem.
I'm going to keep pushing this, but we do have a critique today. So we usually do fan stuff where we're like just looking through stuff people have finished and oohing and awing. But every time Devin's here, we like to do critiques because he's a pro and he gives really, really thorough critiques.
I'm a professional idiot.
Okay.
No, I love talking about all this stuff. Yeah. So this is an exercise for me as well.
Yeah. And so you were, let me try to make this a little bit bigger for you.
Sure.
But you were actually starting to comment on this earlier today in Discord.
Yeah.
This is Cody's.
Yeah, it's
Cody Cold Paintings.
It's really Avatar. Well done. Like
hashtag justice for Avatar.
The nice thing that I really like about it, like the first thing that's straight out is that he did the heat effects really, really well. Where it's brighter. There we go. There it is brighter towards the point of origin, and it is darker as you kind of get away, right? So if you look at any type of molten metal type stuff, it tends to get into that deep red, even to the black and stuff, and with that like hot, vibrant yellow. So I think that's really well done, and I like the fact that there's even magentas in there, and it's just like color smuggling at its finest. The thing that I had commented on is if you look at the cape. Mm-hmm. Do you notice that the cape versus everything else, very contrast?
Yeah, it's
heavy,
very cool.
Right?
Yeah, it's blue.
It's very cool temperature. And ideally, temperature is another contrast that you can do. It's not just hot, dark, and bright, right? You can do things like rough versus smooth. You can do temperature color, value color, hue. There's all different types of contrast. The one thing that I would say with this, though, is that the contrast is too stark at a non-focal point of the model.
It's like crotch. The only spot. Well,
exactly. Which is so part of yeah. So I've been thinking a little bit about this, like on the drive here and everything. Is that like okay? So how would one correct this? Correct or adjust, I should say, because it's not a correction per se. Is maybe include that element in other places as well. So maybe having that element, because it's not a finished model, obviously, having that element like in the plume of his hair.
Yeah, because he was asking, what do I do about the hair? What do I do about the chest plate? And I forget the other thing he was asking about. But yeah, that's a good use for those things.
Right. And honestly, it's kind of hard to give a complete definitive answer. As it stands, I would repaint that cloth. But because it's not a finished piece, well, let's just kind of jive with it, right? Let's just kind of roll with it. So if you look at doing the plume in a similar manner, but I would go even more, right? So you can see very, very soft and subtle blends and highlighting with the cloth. I would go even more with that. So it's more rich, more vibrant, but still in that cool temperature color. So now you're drawing more attention to the face.
Yeah.
If the helmet itself if that is as it is, I would start, as you get towards the top, I would start glazing in those similar type of cool colors, right? It's really hot and it's slowly rapidly cooling off. And you can integrate those blues into the top.
Yeah.
And what you can then do is in the little, chest dongle piece and stuff, you can do similar colors, but in a similar way that how he did the chest there, and that it gets brighter and brighter.
Yeah.
pointing towards the frame. So now you have basically like this plume right here that is contrasting from the spear glaive thing, pointing down towards the focal point. And then this right here where the cloth is, you can keep it that way, but make sure everything else up here on the top part of the model is just 3 or 4 levels higher. So now you're getting contrast everywhere.
Right.
If that's not the plan to do the plume and the chest in that similar temperature, I would actually advise on really, really muting that down. So you still have a temperature contrast, but right now it calls... But
it's not so like...
Yeah. All of the attention right now should be on the face and the chest. And even then, I would actually say with the face, put more of that stark yellow in there. It's all going straight to this tabard.
Yeah, it really is. The brightest spot on the model is right on the chest.
Yep.
But the chest piece points down to the cloth and like it's blue. There's a lot of things like drawing you down.
Exactly. And you want drawing up. So if you're like, I'm happy with how that cloth is going on, then utilize that, kind of expertly and put it in key areas to drive your focus and your attention to the face.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, it's really, really cool.
Nice.
I really like the progress on it.
How much do you think like adding the reflective, heat light, like the oranges back onto the cloth, back onto the hair, like how much does that help tie the two together? Or is it more of just like selling a point and not so much like unifying the color scheme?
That's a really, really good question. Here's the thing, right? With how much light source is going on right in there,
there's a lot.
Everything should be bathed in that yellow, or that orangey yellow, and now it starts to look somewhat uninteresting. So here, I want to point out real quick. You see by that spear, by the glaive right there, right next to his hair right there, you can see that's just probably from overspray from the airbrush.
Yeah, but I see it.
You can see it, right?
And I'm like, oh,
that would be kind of cool. So you do yes, we're going for believability here, right?
Yeah.
In actuality, it would just be everywhere. But maybe you do in those key areas, like where the flame is overlapping that cloth, that loincloth or whatever, paint that little bit of light there. Paint that little bit of light in key areas so you can help sell the effect without like completely painting the whole thing the same color. This is a difficult model to do because it's such a monotone kind of color palette. And it's really cool.
Which is funny because it's got a lot going on. But it's like dude's on fire from the inside.
Right.
That's how you paint. Like, that's pretty much how people paint this.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, there's key areas where it's stronger and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I would do is I would maybe do very light impressions of that color. Like an OSL kind of a color and stuff like that. But that's a rough model to kind of do it on. Mostly because it's, I don't know, about this big.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a centerpiece model. You don't own many more than one usually.
Right.
And so you kind of don't want to screw it up and stuff like that.
Right.
But that's kind of what I would do.
Yeah. Cody is like he has regular output. He's constantly churning out really high quality painted models. I'm sure you've seen it.
Oh yeah, they're fantastic.
He recently finished up like a big project of his that had nothing to do with hobbying, and so now has this extra time on his plate to
that's awesome.
spend on a nice centerpiece and take his time.
No, it's really cool, and what's really cool about it is that it is an eye-catching centerpiece, and you can take it to basically that next level by just some very small, simple things. And you can do that. It doesn't have to be a 6-inch or 12-inch, centerpiece model like an Imperial Knight or something like that. You can make it your, captain or whatever. But by doing specific things to just draw the eye a little bit more, use a little bit more saturated colors on it, or, cleverly putting things in, a little bit here, a little bit there kind of a thing, you can draw more attention to it.
Yeah.
And keeping in mind, like, the focal point or, whatever your desired effect is trying to be, like the flame, right? That is the desired effect. So you want to have it in those key areas. And he does it. He's in that hand. He does it in his chest. I would put more in the face, in the spear and stuff like that. And I think that's really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it screams in all of the best ways. You put that on the tabletop and people go, I want to take a look at that.
I know.
That's
it's
really
such
cool.
A cool
That's
model.
a really cool model.
I'll have to do it someday. I need to practice fire.
I don't want to touch it.
I know.
I don't want to touch it.
It looks like one of those things where I'm like, I should do this.
Right, yeah,
but I'm in no rush.
I like the idea of doing it, but then I actually see the model in hand, and I just go, oh, I can't do that. I don't want to do that.
I mean, if Teresa has it covered.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
know,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
Cool. Well, Cody, hope that was helpful.
Yeah. Thank you definitely. Keep up the good work, by the way. That was it's fantastic. Like you're getting to the point where this is getting to the nitty gritty, the picky kind of things, because you can honestly just slap some colors and be like, I'm done. I did my effect, and it's good. But those key little things is going to turn a good model into a great model. Yeah. And that's really what I'm on a journey to do, is to turn the good to great. Yeah. Right? And hopefully other people recognize that. Yeah. So.
Cool. Well, we're just about done.
Pretty much,
but, was there any last minute steps? I know you talked about secret sauce and all this stuff.
Yeah. So, there's good timing. So, let's say that we're all done with our model, right? We've done the appropriate level of highlights. Maybe we want to go in with our really nice brushes and maybe put some key highlights here and there and stuff like that. Great. We can certainly do that. However, really like this step. You want to point the camera?
Oh, yeah. Thanks. I know, I'm a good producer.
Yeah, so here is my secret sauce. And here is Meg's secret sauce.
Ooh.
This is fun. I really like doing this. Yeah, you can kind of see. You can kind of see the difference in the temperature and color and the colors used. Your paint water is your secret sauce.
Fun.
So I'm going to keep this in frame right here. Here's your mini. So what I'm going to do is I want you, Meg, to get a nice big round brush. I'm going to use this big boy right here. Okay. Get something like that. Yep.
Does that work?
Yep.
All right.
We're basically going to, and the nice thing with all of this is that the more colors you use, the more weird and complex it gets, right? You're just going to load it up. Look how sopping wet that is.
It is. Okay.
And we're going to wash this everywhere.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing, though. With this much water, with this big of a brush, we can cause little air bubbles if you're if you're just blah, 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 and smashing all over the place. So we want to make it a nice, even application, just as though you're doing a nice, even base coat. But we're going to use this wash water because it has every single color in it. And the nice thing about this is that it marries and merges all of the colors together before we start moving on to the next steps. Yeah. So the next steps, I would then start doing in some highlights with a nice fine tipped brush, and adding in the little bit of oomph into it all, and then I might go back to this pot of water, and I might put more.
Funny. Just dirty paint water.
Yeah.
Who knew? It makes sense.
Yeah,
total sense.
It just merges and marries all of the colors together because it has all of the colors in it.
That's already happening, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this is the part that kind of is aggravating because now you got to wait for this crap to dry.
Yeah.
But that's where a hairdryer comes into play, or if you're kind of assembly lining, right? You're doing a lot of different bases, or you're doing something relatively large and stuff. Just take this wash water, and this is very much how it is you want it to be. So I'm actually going to, real quick, do this. I'm actually going to take a little bit of that gray and a little bit of this. Actually, no, I'll keep the gray, and I'll take a little bit of this walnut brown, and I will sacrifice these to the paint gods. I'm gonna take a big old scoop, and I'm gonna put it in.
Okay.
Sacrifice this to the paint gods, and look at the difference of my color, my water now.
Yeah.
It's changed quite a bit, right?
Right.
So if you're wanting to,
you just squirted a bunch of paint in your paint water. I love it.
Yeah, and then you can take that, and then you can now selectively apply that as a glaze to the shadowed areas or something like that. Now you're darkening the mini.
I'm gonna take walnut brown.
There it is. And I'm just gonna.
I'm just gonna squirt it right in.
Do it.
Okay.
Be about it. See, you were very
dirty.
You were very brave in that sense.
I was I saw you pause. Okay, go ahead.
Very brave in that.
Yeah, now it's dark gray dirt.
Yeah, see, look how much darker yours is, right? Yours was a little bit more vibrant and neon, but maybe you want to tone the temperature down. That being said, if you want to add more turquoise into, you absolutely can.
Right. But everything's so wet still. I'm afraid to like
go again.
Just do it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you can like
never be too wet.
There it is. You heard it here first. You can make another pot of paint water if you want it to be a different temperature, different color and stuff like that if you want. I don't like that. I like using this because it has all of the colors already in it, right?
It has your journey.
It has your journey.
Save the bathwater, guys.
Friendship is the key, right? Mm-hmm. Friendship it's about the friends you made along the way.
Yeah. In the paint water.
And so then this is very much like up to your taste, right? If you're like, I'm good, I'm happy with that, then you're done. You do one application and you're done. You can continue to darken it down and keep going. And how do people lick their brushes? It's very easy, like this. Honestly, it's an unconscious thing to get the brush really sharp. I don't lick any of these brushes because there's so much paint and garbage in them. Mm-hmm. But
I don't paint the crappy brushes.
Yeah.
I mean, lick the crappy brushes.
I actually have two pots of paint. Like one is a cleaner pot. This one is my magic sauce, and then the other one's a little bit cleaner. So when I'm doing my rinsing, I just give it a quick rinse in a clean pot, and then I actually tend to do this. Like I do this. I actually squeeze a lot of the water off. I might wipe it down and
then you do it.
Yeah. So I'm not really like licking.
I don't normally lick that much water.
I'm not sucking on brushes.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's your secret sauce. This
was great.
That's basically gonna take it and make it yours and make it kind of unique. And it's a color you can't really replicate because it's part of the color, like you said, along the journey and stuff like that. And it's just a fun way to just break out of doing something that is a little bit tedious for some people. And you can apply it on these bases. Like I have this one little tree thing. I did this all with like enamels and oils. Like that would be one thing that I'll probably, make up a little video. I bought those Villainy inks and I did it all with this and stuff like that. And so you kind of see my like quote unquote review about them and like how to use them and stuff like that. So, kind of stay tuned on that, and that'll be a lot of fun to kind of play around with.
Yeah.
But this is not exclusive to acrylics. You can do it with oils and all that kind of stuff that. So have fun, enjoy the journey. And this is a thing to just kind of break free from your, drudgery, if you will, and stuff like that.
The drudgery of
painting a rock.
Yeah, painting a rock.
Exactly. Make it more fun, make it more interesting, make it more fun.
Yeah, exactly. This is something I feel like I could do as a palette cleanser. I'm actually looking forward for this to dry so I can finish it.
Yeah.
I'll stick something on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last thing before we go, you did have like a special thing you brought with you from, I think, Adepticon, right?
I did.
You did, yeah. I think we should show
it you want to show that on camera?
Why not? Let's do it. Show
Give me
fam.
just a second.
Yeah. They love this thing. They love seeing your work. And it's always cool to see it up close. So really it's for me. Because I'm literally right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe I should just wait until I'm on microphone. So I'm not just shouting in the side of the room.
Yeah, guys. I hope this was fun for you. And we did have a poll up, and we haven't ended it yet. Let's end it now. Favorite aging rock star, Ozzy Osbourne. Still a favorite. I wasn't sure how that would go.
Huh. Ozzy Osbourne, really?
He's kind of a weirdo, right?
He bit the head off a bat.
But I mean, even like today, he's
I think people might
barely hanging on.
I think people might call him an eccentric, not a weirdo. I think once you reach a certain level of stardom, you're no longer weird, you're just eccentric.
Yeah.
But, okay, right, well, here's
let's check out your stuff.
Yeah, this feels weird.
No, I love it.
But here's my Imperial Fist Jump Captain.
So good.
I entered this in arguably the toughest category at Golden Demon. Single miniature 40K. I wanted to convey a lot of cool motion, and I love painting yellow because I'm a bit of a masochist in that regard. But I love Imperial Fists, and I had this idea with this captain guy that, he's jumping into the fray. So I cut and resculpted his foot just a little bit to just make him a little bit more angled. And then I put him on an even further steep angle. You can kind of see that angle and stuff.
Quite the tactical rock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a tactical bulkhead or something like that. But, great. The idea was that, like, maybe he's charging into, like, a chaos ship or something along those lines and stuff like that. So, there you go.
I get to touch it.
You get to see it, yeah. And the next one, we'll show in just a second, was my Necromunda / vehicle that I had previewed beforehand. You'll have to excuse the sticky tack.
Fabric. Sorry.
Oh, I know, it's great.
I'm like very excited for this fabric workshop now. Okay, let's check it out.
That's an exercise in madness for sure.
Yeah.
I handled my model like a gorilla. So I broke it.
Right.
Yes. I snapped it off the base.
Right.
Unfortunately. So excuse the sticky tack. But here is... Actually, this is the first time I'm actually showing it.
Really?
Yeah. So here is...
special treatment.
The Necromunda vehicle that is expertly sticky tacked. Because I decided, I pulled it out of my case. I was like, yeah, no problem. And I just went snap and tore off 2 or 3 of the wheels and... ripped it off the base. Huh?
Did you cry?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I just popped it back in and went, well, okay. It is what it is. But so here's what it is. And I actually did this technique that we were doing all across the road.
Okay.
To give it an interesting gray. So like I'll give, you can hold it. When you look into it, it's like, oh, this is really interesting. There's some interesting stuff there. But what's really cool about it, it's a little hard to show on camera. I don't know how I'm going to photograph it. Look, it is on a serious slope.
Oh, yeah.
It's to kind of convey that speed. So you can kind of see the tire tracks. They're not lined up because, again, I handled it like a gorilla. And, so... That's
okay.
Lots of really fun weathering and lots of interesting stories to kind of tell. So, yeah, there's that for you. Guys, it's secured on relatively well, so...
Yeah. Oh, it's so amazing.
Yeah, so,
look at the bottles.
Yeah, little bottles with shell casings and stuff, and I got some really good feedback from a lot of my good friends on it. For this piece. This piece I'm done with, like for the Imperial Fist guy, because I did my tweaks, I did all that stuff, and this is now a lesson that I'm going to learn for something else. But because I accidentally broke that, you know what? It's already off the base, so I'm actually going to snap it further off, and I'm going to make some tweaks to it and stuff like that, and illustrate the speed a little bit more, change a couple of things here and there. And also, this is just a fun exercise of taking something that I thought was complete and redoing a bunch of stuff. And how can you do that, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, most people, they just go, oh, it's for the next thing.
Yeah. So next time I'll get it better.
I'm going to figure out a way to tweak some certain things and stuff like that. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was great. Thank you for sharing that with everybody. And it's a really good, you bringing up like getting feedback and stuff from the community.
Yes, absolutely.
Really good reminder, like, hey, this is collaborative. Yeah. We're the Hobby Collab. We work together. We give each other feedback. We also just like give each other moral support.
Well, it's nice to know that there are others that share your insanity.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really fun.
Yeah. So thanks again, everybody, for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
All the super chats today and memberships. That was awesome. That really helps us out a lot. Thank you, Devin, for being here. And thank you, Mandrels, for your extra help. We are looking forward to doing some workshops with you in May with Devin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
I'm also, just as a quick little shout out.
Go for it, please.
If you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, we've got KublaCon happening.
That's right.
So I am going to be teaching a few little crash course kind of classes. I'm going to be teaching non-metallic metal, object source lighting or OSL, and a little bit of the weathering. It's going to be very, very similar to how, if you are already a mandrel, how we did those kind of courses. We're going to have actually cooking up a class exclusive model, which is going to be great.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be in the DC area, I'm also teaching for the first time at Nova, which is super, super cool. Same class schedule, except I'm doing one additional class, which is a freehand class.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it's freehand for chipping and scratching and weathering and stuff like that. Stuff that I really, really like to do. And it's kind of a weird, new, and kind of interesting class, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice.
So it's going to be fantastic. I'm super excited.
I signed up for your OSL, which I'm very excited for. I've been wanting to take a good OSL class for a while, so I'm
manage your expectations. I'm not that good.
Oh boy. I'll be all right. Yeah. But we did a thing. Thanks you guys for hanging out, and with that, be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, and always be creating. Bye.
Bye.